Hello, I'm Andrew Garley. I'm a spiritual medium, healer and teacher. Today I want to discuss astral projection. This is a subject I get very excited about and something that I've experienced for many years. So what is astral projection, you may be asking? Basically, it's where the consciousness that we know and understand, what we wake up with every day and we live our lives, shifts into the astral body, sometimes called the emotional body. Now, you may be thinking, well, what's the benefit of this? To me, it's absolutely fantastic, because with mediumship can take many years and you might get odd glimpses into the spirit world. They can be fleeting, not very long. You may get etheric visions, but astral projection is so real. When you achieve this to your full potential and ability, as you are right now in the astral world, you can experience it 100%. What do I mean by 100%? It means that you can see, smell, taste, all the senses of the body, and your full consciousness is in a body just like this. The emotional body is just slightly different, just to be technical, but it pretty much looks like what we are now. We do hold a mental image of what we look like, and we do tend to recreate this in the astral world. It's something that we're comfortable with. A friend of mine, let me just give you a little story of how powerful astral projection can be within your life. I had a good friend, still do, in America, and he was a preacher and he used to teach many of his teachings, and he started astral projecting, and it threw out everything that he was teaching and believed in, because it didn't make sense what he was seeing and experiencing. To be in the astral world is exactly like we are now. Let me just change the slight slant on that. When we pass, in other words when the body dies, we actually go into the emotional or astral plane. That is the typical plane where most people go. Most people tend to go around level 5. If you were to say that, let's switch it round, say 7 is the bottom, and then you have 6, 5, and going up towards the top. Now the top is a very beautiful plane, and the plane below that is also a very beautiful plane. Now when you actually go to these places, you can do it right now. Isn't that exciting? It is, because you can go and experience and you can go and explore what's going on there right now. You don't need to wait to die. You don't need anything like that. You can access it right now. This also applies to the mental plane, but to reach the mental plane you have to have gone through some spiritual evolution and training where you become a better person. Now typically the astral plane, you wouldn't actually know the difference, because certainly in the sort of more lower, and I'm not going say on the bottom 2 levels which are a little bit more, let's just say less than pleasant, it's like it is here. The only thing is that you find is the colours are more vibrant, your senses are more expanded in this astral world. And the one thing that I really truly love about astral projection is, like I said, you don't have to develop mediumship, you don't have to develop to be psychic to actually experience this. You can do this right now. Wonderful. You can go and explore. So what are you likely to find in the astral world? Well, typically disincarnates people that once lived on the earth. They've gone back into the astral world. Now we have the astral plane, which is above the physical plane. And let me just give you an example. The physical plane, if we were to say, is plane 1. I say you can switch this round as 7 or 1. It doesn't really matter, whichever suits you. Now we all know that the physical plane, we have solid, and then we have like liquid, and then we have gas, and then we start coming into the etheric planes, and then we go into higher etheric planes. Now above all of this is the astral plane, also known as the emotional plane, where we tend to feel. Now, feeling, you might think, is, we all know what feelings like, we all know what emotions are, but what are they? It's an energy, it's a vibration, it's a resonance. So we spring into this new world and we can meet people and talk with people. And an exciting thing is, if you have somebody that can also successfully astral project, they can meet up with you. Now, there is some really funny side effects of astral projection I will cover after I've gone through the technique. So let's look at the beauty of this world. There are trees, there are animals, there are buildings. Most people can't tell the difference, and I've certainly looked into some of the astral worlds and you wouldn't know. If many of you have ever watched the film The Matrix, and he states in there, if you never woke from a dream, how would you know what reality was? You wouldn't know that you were in a dream. And it's very much like that. Now, there's two aspects to this. One is that you're very, very clear and lucid and awake in the astral world. You can look around, see who's there, communicate. It's a little bit like navigating as well. It's learning a new concept of being. And again, don't be frightened by this. And whilst I think about it, we must discuss what often is taught in many astral projection teachings and books. They refer to a spiritual thread or a cord that is connected to, like, our solar plexus, basically around the belly button area. And should this get snagged and should it suddenly break, that we wouldn't be able to come back. This does not happen. It does not happen. That thread can only be cut by your higher self or an angel. And certainly whilst you're out the body, you're not going to get possessed. Somebody isn't going to leap in. You can't invade that space. There is always a protection around the body. And in the other video series I've explained that if we have a boundary and something comes in close, it bends around. There is no interpenetration. Excuse me. So there's nothing to fear. Now, not everything in the astral world is all pleasant and beautiful and light, and certainly on the lower plane, let's say the bottom one at number, let's say 7, there's no reason for you to migrate. It's a universal law of like attracts like. If you are not such a wonderful person and you tend to be a bit selfish, maybe even a little bit sharp with people, a little bit nasty, you will naturally migrate to the plane that you're at, which could be any number. So typically, like with all the series, it's important to develop yourself as a person, to have attributes of kindness and love, not because somebody's telling you to do so, and not because you think you're going to be rewarded by doing so. It should be a natural, instinctive part of all of us. So what happens if you bump into something less than pleasant? Now, one of the techniques I will cover after I've given you the astral projection technique is breathing, because that pranic energy absolutely supercharges us, and it also protects us. So let me go through the dynamic astral projection technique with you right now. It's really simple, and I would say that it's enjoyable. It really is fun to do. So, you can do this sitting in a chair. Personally, I prefer to lay on the bed. Now, common sense tells you you don't wish to be disturbed. If for some reason you are disturbed, or the body for some reason has a problem, or let's say you're cold, you will jump back in your body faster than you can possibly think. It's instantaneous. It doesn't matter how far you are relatively, because in the dimensional space there isn't really distance and space. It's more on the physical where we have this. So instantly we'll jump back. So preparation is always a key. Allow yourself time where you don't have to be anywhere, you don't have to worry. And you have to be imaginative if there's, let's just say you can't use the bedroom for some reason. I want you to lay down on the bed. Now this is a really good idea, is to buy a meditation mask or a travel mask, it doesn't matter, to cover your eyes. What you're doing is basically you're shutting down the senses. Again, put some earplugs in or some earphones. It doesn't matter if you have some gentle music. It isn't a good idea to have it too loud, but relatively speaking, if you're in a noisy environment, let's say that you're in a major city, then maybe a bit louder just to drown out the humdrum. And I always say this, it's an odd thing, but fans, if it's like a summertime, that constant drone is actually quite good. So you've got your eyes covered, you've got your ears covered. It's important not to be too hot and too cold. What you're trying to do is shut the senses out. Now here's the magic. Now as you lay on the bed, I want you to start with your feet and legs. I want you to imagine that your legs are just very, very slowly sinking into the sand. They're becoming very heavy. They're sinking in, you're becoming warm and glowy. And as you work up the body, just imagine every single muscle within your body relaxing around your stomach. Keep your breathing sort of nice and deep, but not forced. Just in and out, and get into that rhythmic motion. It's always a good idea to do these sort of breathing exercises because it does actually, it's like charging a battery. So you're going to go on a journey, you've charged your battery, so a little bit of good solid breathing is always a good technique. Now as you're coming up your body, start to work with your hands. Relax your hands, relax your arms. What you're doing is you're focusing on all parts of your body. You're imagining all your fingers relaxing, your body, you're coming up, this is a common one, let your jaw relax, let your eyes relax. There shouldn't be anything external, and don't forget to switch your phone off. Relax your body, relax your face, relax your mind, and keep focusing on this breathing. Now the reason, what we're doing here, and this is the key dynamic technique, it is body asleep and mind awake. You don't want to fall asleep, so it's a good idea to focus continually on your breathing. Breathe in, and if you want to, you can count. So breathe in, 1, breathe out, 2. I guarantee most people, when they get to about the number 10, struggle to hold that concentration. You'll be quite surprised how difficult it is to go beyond that. Now, some people can do more, some people can do less. So, mind awake, body asleep. That is the technique of astral projection. Now, what will happen as you do this, you may hear a click or a pop. That is what is termed in astral projection as the mind split. What the consciousness is doing is it's shifting. It's very relatively simple. Consciousness is something that is absolutely amazing, and there's whole subjects on that. Consciousness